Hey everybody, this is Matt from adventuresome.com, and I am here today to talk to you a little bit about some of the stuff that I like to do another product review for you. I am talking to you from the warmth of my dining room, and I would typically be doing this review probably outside, except that it is really cold here in Minnesota right now. Alexa, what's the temperature right now?
Right now, it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of minus 16 degrees.
Minus 16 degrees, that's what we're dealing with here in Minnesota right now, and that's why I'm inside. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the Grayl water bottle filtration system. I first came across this last summer when I was poking around on the backcountry.com website. I'd never seen this before, heard about it, and it really intrigued me. It intrigued me because I have had a long-standing love-hate relationship with water filtration. If you're like me, I don't know if you're familiar with the more traditional, hand pump like the Catadine Hiker. I used that for many, many years, and I love it because it works great, and it's kept me safe for many years up in the Boundary Waters and other places. But a little bit of a hate relationship as well because it's a lot of work sometimes, especially when you're on a trip with a bunch of other guys and they see you walking down to the water with that little filter system, and they're like, hey, can you fill my Nalgene? Just take a couple extra minutes and do that for me. And then next thing you know, you've got 7-8 bottles around you to fill up, and it can be a lot of work. So I was very interested in this product when I began to read more about it, which uses a very different kind of model for how the water gets filtered. I ended up buying the Grayl Ultralight, which delivers about 16 ounces of clean water through every press. You can buy a larger one. There's another one that Grayl sells that's 24 ounces. This one was about $70. The other one, the larger one's about $10-15 more. And I just honestly wasn't quite sure what I was going to think of it, and so I decided to go with the smaller one. But I also had a suspicion that it was going to be adequate for my needs, and looking back, I don't think I would go a different route. I'm pretty happy with the size that I have here and the service that it provided for me. So last summer, I got to put it to use right away. I went up to the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota for a 4-day solo trip up there, and used it a ton and was incredibly impressed with the job that it did. The folks at Grayl tell us that it's about 99.99% effective at filtering out your viruses, your norovirus, your rotavirus, and others. 99.9999% effective at filtering out bacteria, E. coli and salmonella and dysentery. 99.9% effective at getting rid of your Giardia and other protozoa like that, and then obviously also filtering out your sediments and your silts, your heavy metals, like lead and arsenic, Motley Crue, Quiet Riot. Probably showing my age talking about that. You can expect to probably get about 300 presses from one filter before it needs to be replaced. That'll be about 40 gallons of water that you'll get filtered through one filter cartridge, which I think is pretty impressive. I don't exactly understand how all the process works. It uses an ion exchange technology and then a carbon absorption technology for the heavy metals. I don't fully understand all the technology. I've read a little bit about it, but it's kind of like getting on a plane, right? Do you understand everything that's going on a plane? No, but you've used enough that it's probably going to be safe. You're going to be all right. And so I'm kind of feeling that way about this as well. So how does it work? Essentially, the product itself, essentially comes down. There's basically 4 parts to it. You got your outer reservoir, you've got your filter, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's got a cap on it. With a little loop there that you can clip on if you need to, and then your inner reservoir where your clean water is going to be. So real simply, the way it works is you take your outer filter, and you're going to got a little bit of water down here. You're going to fill it up to the fill line, which is real clearly shown for you here on the outside. With the max would be the amount of water that you can put in, and then essentially you can take the inner reservoir, you're going to put that on top, and you're going to need to push it down. Grayl tells us it takes about 15 seconds. In this example, I'm showing you what it would be like to filter it without the cap on. Obviously, if you're near dirty water, you want to keep that cap on to prevent dirty water from getting into the inner reservoir. If you happen to put the cap on, one thing I did learn is that it's a good idea not to close it entirely, but to kind of vent it a little bit to help with the reducing some of the air resistance that you would be dealing with as well. And you just basically kind of want to push it down. Sometimes I found using my body weight would help a little bit, but you're basically pushing that dirty water through the filter, allowing the ion exchange and the carbon absorption to do their work to remove all the bad stuff. And as you get down towards the bottom here, good 15 seconds in, right? What you're going to end up with is about 16 ounces then of clean water that has gone through the filter and is now in that interior reservoir for your consumption. So essentially, you get down, all the water's pushed through, and boom, just like that. Just like that, you got your clean water inside to drink. Really fantastic. A lot of what I used this for was when I was on the go. When I'm paddling, between portages from one lake to another, needing to get some water for me to drink. At camp, I'm going to use something a little bit more like a Sawyer, gravity-fed system kind of a deal where you can get, obviously this will hold a gallon of water. Maybe something like that, again, less labor intensive. But obviously you can get your 16 ounces, but if you want to keep pumping, you can obviously transfer this to a water bottle that's got a higher capacity, or even to a bladder like I've got here in my Airface water hydration pack. You can just obviously transfer the water to the bladder if you want to pump more water at one time. So really, really easy to use, great system. When the water's then, when you kind of reach the capacity of what that filter can handle, it's really, really simple. Haven't had to replace it yet, but there's just a little clip here that you pull out, and then it allows you to twist off the bottom of that, and then you replace the cartridge, which you can buy for about 25 bucks. So seems like a pretty impressive, the amount of water you can get through here before you would need to change that filter and replace it. When you're done using it, their instructions, basically you want to let it air dry completely. They're recommending about 48 hours maybe in the sun, just to make sure that you get all the water out, so when you're storing it, you can reduce the possibility of any kind of mold growing or anything like that. If you want to just have this in your house as a backup system for the emergency type situation, they say that can sit on the shelf unused for about 10 years and still be effective at filtering water. So definitely something that I really, really like. Like I said, used it myself last summer and was really impressed. Got a couple of trips coming up here in the first part of this year. Going to Costa Rica here in a couple weeks, and then I'll be in Indonesia later in the first half of this year. And so I plan on definitely bringing that along with me should I have a situation where good clean water being filtered on the go is needed. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers some questions you might have about the Grayl water bottle filtration system. Obviously, let me know if you have any questions. It's really easy to find. You can find it on rei.com or backcountry.com or on Amazon as well. All right, see you next time.